Week 1, college football's here.
Let's go.
We're back. All right, last week we each had one pick, and to no one's surprise, we both won. So the podcast is 2-0 right now.
Undefeated pod so far.
It's true. And we got, about 3, 4 maybe?
I got 3.
I got 3, and then I got my money line. So
perfect.
I think we are ready. We just want to jump right into this, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, just real quick recap. What'd you have last week that won?
I picked Illinois +7.
Good. Okay. Yeah, that covered by a mile. And
Yep.
then I had under 68 for the Hawaii UCLA game, which covered by 2 touchdowns. So
Good. All
all right, let's roll into week 1.
Let's get it. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, you go first.
Good, because I got a Thursday night game. I got Boise State at UCF. UCF's 5-point favorites. Over-under is 68. Again, this is Thursday, 7 p.m., and I mean, we're kicking off week 1 with what should be a great game. 2 teams, both have new head coaches. Gus Malzahn at UCF, Andy Avalos at Boise State, both inheriting great quarterbacks. Hank Bachmeier at Boise, and the great Dylan Gabriel at UCF, who last year was the 5th best quarterback in the NCAA. He threw for 3,570 yards and a 32-4 touchdown to interception ratio. Even though they ranked 25th in rushing yards last year, they lost top 2 running backs. We're talking, of course, of UCF, but they have a pretty good one waiting there. Bentavious Thompson. He averaged 5.2 yards a carry last season when he did get in, and they are returning a receiver who should eclipse the 1,000-yard mark this year, Jalen Robinson. So offense looking pretty promising this season. Should have no trouble putting up points quick and often. Boise's defense, we talk about UCF's offense. Boise's defense was so last season, and they had their top defensive back graduate. I mean, they were 52nd in scoring defense. Their limited depth in the secondary, seeing how Gabriel played, and the fact that Boise State may be limited, all signs are pointing to points being scored when UCF has the ball. Oh, and forgot to mention that UCF averaged 44.3 points per game last year, which was 5th best. So they're a scoring juggernaut. We can look at Boise's offense for a little bit. They did average 33.9 points per game last season, which was good enough for 29th in the country, and they are returning most of their starters. Bachmeier, their quarterback, will be able to throw the ball pretty well. Big question mark is their defense. UCF actually ranked 117th in pass defense last season and lost their top DB and tackling leader Richie Grant to the NFL. So they allowed 31.4 points per game. And, I started with UCF, taking UCF -5. Now it's looking like an over for me. I still think UCF covers, but I think I'm going to stick with the over because Gabriel is going to be gunning for a big start to the season. I think he's going to have Heisman, hopeful there. So he's got to have a good game here. And Boise's going to have to throw to stay in the game. They're going to be thrown up against a bad pass defense. So with the over being 8-3 in the last 11 games, where the total was under 70 for UCF, and UCF had 9 games go over 69 points last year. Boise State went over 5 of the last 7. I'm taking the over 68 in this one.
Nice. Yeah. No, I think that's a good one. I really like Gabriel.
Yeah, me too.
All right. For my first game of week 1, I'm going to go with the Stanford versus Kansas State game. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff local time, noon Eastern time on Saturday at the Cowboys Stadium. This is just as much of a fade Stanford play as it is a back Kansas State play. Stanford's playing 2 quarterbacks this game. They've made it clear they don't have a defined starter. That's all the explaining I really need to know when it comes to their offensive production this year. The game's also going to be a 9 a.m. start time for their circadian rhythm clock. So out in California, since they have to come play in Texas, I don't know if they'll adjust as well. It's going to be 9 a.m. California time. They've only gone 8-8 since 2019, which is very uncharacteristic of their coach David Shaw. But I don't really see anything changing, and they haven't had any help either with how rough COVID's been in California and the restrictions. Makes it hard on a football team to practice in spring. makes it hard for them to meet like a normal football program. I definitely think Kansas State has a competitive advantage there. And then it's also the first week of classes. This is Stanford. If they fall behind, they're not going to catch up. So there's another reason to fade Stanford. They only had 2 picks. Their defense only had 2 picks out of all of 2020. But they are returning 8 defensive starters. But what really stuck out to me was that Stanford allows, last year at least, 200-plus rushing yards per game. So that's a terrible mismatch against a very run-heavy Kansas State team. Skylar Thompson, their quarterback, is back. He was hurt last year, saw his season cut short, but with his short production in 2020, he did have a great season. So far in his career at Kansas State, he has 30 career starts. He has 3 top 10 wins, which is really impressive. 10% of his starts he's been able to knock off top 10 opponents. At his career at Kansas State, he has over 5,000 passing yards and over 1,300 rushing yards and 52 career TDs. Man, he's a big guy too, so I really expect him to be able to push the ball forward. Kansas State also last year, even though their record wasn't as pretty as usual, 3 out of their 6 losses, 3 of the losses combined for a total of 7 points. So they were in a lot of games last year, and they can do really well in these short spread games. And then on top of that, to back it up, running back Deuce Vaughn is going into a sophomore year here at Kansas State. He's on the Maxwell Award watch list for the best offensive player in the country. He had 642 yards with 7 touchdowns last year. I think Kansas State is worth the minus 3 points. So, especially, they're not playing at their home stadium. They are the home team. They are going to have a travel advantage. They're going to have a COVID advantage, and they have the advantage on the field. So let's go with Kansas State minus 3.
Yeah, I like that. I like the travel advantage you put in there. I got a pick coming up later that kind of ties into that, but I love Kansas State, so.
Yeah, I'm stealing your thunder week 1, but it's not a Kansas State money line.
No, that's okay. Fine. I like it. All right, moving on. My game, Duke, 6.5-point favorites at Charlotte. Over under is 60.5. And I gave a Thursday night game because I was pretty ready to go. I don't think I'm going to wait another day. I'm going to go right after it. This one's on Friday night at 7. I'm not that degenerate to where I'm going to stoop so low as to go bet a high school game. But I think this game, I'm feeling pretty damn confident that this is as sure as a lock as I'm going to get with the slate that we're seeing. So Duke minus 6.5 is what I'm playing. This is, it's pretty cut and dry, straightforward, very short and simple to the point. Charlotte last year played Duke, got absolutely hammered, 53-19. And although this year's Charlotte team is going to be better, it's not promising when you have an offense that you're returning a lot of starters. Last year they only got going twice, and that was against North Texas and UTEP, who are 2 pretty crappy teams. Some may say that because Duke is reloading on the D-line, they may be in some trouble to start the year, but I look past that, and the defense was a young group last year, but now they have experience. They have a strong secondary, good linebacker group. Duke's quarterback, Gunnar Holmberg, which is a great name for a quarterback, by the way, will not have to force anything. He just has to let his receivers work. Duke's going to want to focus on ball control because they had trouble with that last year, sustaining offensive drives, and they don't have to do too much. I think winning by a touchdown is nothing short than easy for them. Charlotte got destroyed last year. It's not going to be a 34-point blowout this time, but Duke's going to cover 6.5, move on next week. So I'm going Duke 6.5.
I see the angle, but I just can't back a Duke team right now.
That's all right. I will. I'm feeling good about it.
All right. I'm going to take it down to the Northern Illinois versus Georgia Tech game. Georgia Tech is minus 18 at home. Night kickoff at 7 p.m. in Atlanta. And this is a pretty much a fade NIU team because Georgia Tech doesn't have a lot of hope on paper, but they pass the eye test, and I think they're trending in the right direction. NIU is 0-6 in the MAC last year. They allowed almost 40 points per game. in the MAC, a very non-efficient offensive conference. They're still uncertain at QB. No one on the roster on their whole team has thrown a pass in a game. So there you go. And many expect them to be the worst team in the country next to ULM Monroe. They were 2-4 against the spread last year, on top of being 0-6 straight up. And contrasting from that, I really like the way that Georgia Tech has been trending. So this is their third year under the new coach, Jeff Collins. They've gotten rid of their triple option, identity, and they do have a really good quarterback, really talented quarterback under center named Jeff Sims. He's a sophomore. He's the definition of a dual threat. Last year he threw for 1,800 passing yards and 13 touchdowns, while he ran for just under 500 rushing yards and ran for 6 touchdowns. Their top performers at every level are back on defense, and Jeff Collins, in his third year, finally has the guys that he wants starting. So his recruits that he brought in are finally maturing, and I think they're expecting a breakout year. GT is playing in a way tougher ACC this year than normal, so I think they want to get out here, try everything they can, and I think they can edge them out by 18. I don't think NIU is going to score. So as long as Georgia Tech's defense can show up and their offense can do okay, which I expect them to do great, I think this is a pretty safe bet. Georgia Tech minus 18.
Very good. All right, so we got 2 apiece. I got my third, which is I have to do a Big Ten game. I went Big Ten last week. Successful. I was going to do Ohio State this week, but I'm not too confident with. I know they're going to win, but I don't know what their team's going to be like. So let's stick in the Big Ten, and we'll go to probably the biggest Big Ten game of the week, which is Penn State at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's 5.5-point favorites. Over-under set at 50. This is Saturday, noon. And last year, in games that were played at Camp Randall, opponents were held to games of 7 points, 14 points, and 17 points. Wisconsin's offense scored less than 21 points in 4 of their last 7 games last year. In 2019, the Badgers allowed no more than 24 points in a game at their home field.
Yeah, they were crazy on defense.
And that included 3 shutouts.
Yeah, I remember that.
So it's safe to say that their defense has historically been pretty damn good.
Yes.
Right? I don't think the season's going to be much different. I mean, they have the best defensive line in the conference. They always have big bodies up front. Now they have one of the best linebacking corps in the country. And last year, Penn State, awful season. They had a lot of issues with pass protection. If that has not been fixed in camp, then we're looking at a lot of pressure, which is going to result in a lot of short drives and a lot of turnovers for the Penn State offense. But the problem won't be with the Wisconsin offense, because last year they had turnover issues, could not run the ball. They only hit the 200-yard rushing mark 1 game last year. And historically, Wisconsin's a good running team. Badgers quarterback Graham Mertz, great quarterback, but he has some question if he has what it takes to compete at a high level. And Penn State does have a good defense as well. These are arguably the 2 best, I'd say they're the 2 best defenses in the conference, top to bottom. Ohio State's very good, but I think these 2 are probably 2 of the best with returning starters.
Yeah.
What's going to be the true test is how's Penn State going to work in their new offense that they have this year. Quarterback Sean Clifford, just not consistent last year. He has a pretty decent backfield supporting him, but I don't think it's going to be enough to hide your quarterback behind your running backs when you're facing a defense like Wisconsin at home. You got to jump around, all that stuff. So expect both of the defenses to shine in this game. I think offenses are going to struggle for long periods. You're still going to have flashes here and there, but this is big-time Big Ten football. It's basically an equivalent to my baseball fans out there, Jacob deGrom versus Walker Buehler pitching matchup. Very low scoring. I'm going the under 50 in this game.
I like it. I mean, I was looking at this game. I can't pick a side here.
No.
So, I mean, if you're going to bet this game, definitely go with the total. And the way the Big Ten trends, the under is probably the way to go. So
That's
I like
exactly
it.
what I was thinking, so I think I'm good there.
Awesome. So for my last lock here, I'm going to take it to Ohio, where Miami of Ohio is traveling to Cincinnati. Do you have this one too?
No,
Okay,
but I was
good.
very close to taking this one.
I was thinking about it last second. I was like, okay, I have all my points for this one. This is a pretty good one. So the kickoff's at 3:30 in Cincinnati, and Miami, Ohio, MAC school performs pretty well on the MAC every year, but not too well when they play Power Fives or even just well. Okay, Cincinnati's not Power 5, but they might as well be. Yeah, I remember being at Columbus, I think during the 2019 season, watching the Ohio State-Miami, Ohio game, and it was just the most embarrassing thing I've seen in my life.
Yep.
So, Miami, Ohio doesn't show up for the big guys. Their quarterback, Brett Gabbert, he's an okay quarterback, but he only attempted 35 passes last year. Not too encouraging. On top of that, their wide receiver, Sorensen, accounts for over half of their receiving production. Now, he's going to be matched up against an All-American cornerback in Ahmed Gardner, so I think that he'll be taken off the table real quickly. On top of that, Miami of Ohio lost their two best O-linemen from last season. One went to the NFL draft, the other one transferred, so they're going to be hurting where it matters. When these MAC schools play more talented schools, it's a skill position where it's most evident the competitive disadvantage is. It's definitely in the trenches. They're going to get bullied on offensive and defensive line this game. Now, Cincy, on the other hand, Cincy's out for revenge after last year. They were very close to beating Georgia and completing an undefeated season. So they know what's at stake. They know how the NCAA committee views Group of 5 schools getting to the playoff. But they do have a good enough roster to make it to a playoff if they can go undefeated. To leave zero doubt in the playoff committee's mind, they're going to have to blow out every team, and they're definitely not going to be able to show that they struggled against Miami of Ohio. So, take this 22.5-point deficit and do whatever spread and do whatever you want with it. I think Cincinnati, in the back of their heads, is going for the 35-plus point victory every game this year that they can, because they cannot leave any struggle on their schedule to give the committee some reason to leave them out of the playoff. Luke Fickell's a great coach. Former Ohio State coach. Why are you shaking your head?
Because he was trash.
What are you talking about?
He's a terrible coach. I hate Luke Fickell.
Okay, well.
Last year
We're going to keep moving.
Last year I had a good parlay going where they needed to cover.
He ruined it.
And he had his running back stop at the 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I remember that.
4 plays to score. They couldn't score, and I got fucked.
I remember this. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to ride them mostly this year because they have to convince the committee to let them in. So they've won 14 straight games against Miami. This is a rivalry that dates back to 1888. If they win here, they can tie the all-time record, which they will win. Last year, their defense was 8th in the nation in points allowed on defense. They return everybody pretty much. They're elite on the line, in the linebackers, and in the secondary. Desmond Ridder, who I have a ticket on for 33-1 to win the Heisman, he is an animal. He will be able to keep the offensive moving. They usually start slow on offense, but I'm figuring that's going to change this year. And like I said, they have that All-American corner, Ahmed Gardner, that's going to shut down the number one guy on production for Miami, Ohio's wide receivers and receiving. So, man, for me, it's pretty easy. Cincinnati's going to go for a blowout here, and I'm only having to lay 22.5 points. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away and see how they perform in their first game with the big spread because that really, really pissed me off last year.
Yeah, I remember that game now. I think I bet that game too.
Yeah.
But I mean, is Luke Fickell back on your good side if he can be a cover machine this year? Even coming from your team, Ohio State?
Yeah, when he was with us, I hated him.
If Ryan Day leaves, Luke Fickell's next up for that job.
No, he's not.
I promise you.
I can guarantee you he won't.
All right.
That's it for you, yeah?
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. I got one more, and it's the return of the Moneyline Moneymaker. And to return and start the season off, you can't start with like a wimpy 2-point or 3-point underdog upset. I need to find something that's double-digit spread And I think that's how you really start a good juju when you're trying to pick upsets. So for 2021, the Moneyline season, we're going to start with a late game on Saturday, BYU, Arizona. BYU is a 12.5-point favorite. Arizona is going off at plus 375. Now this game is in Vegas. It's an inaugural Vegas kickoff classic game.
I like it.
Okay, first off, Mormons are not allowed to gamble. So they're in the wrong city to play a football game.
Very true.
All right, secondly, BYU lost Zach Wilson. They're going to be turning to a quarterback who played 9 games with 2 starts and had 420 passing yards with 1 touchdown. If you break that down, it's 47 yards per game.
Yeah.
Okay? Thirdly, Arizona. They were 0-5 last year. To me, that means they're due. All right? And because they're playing Mormons in Vegas, they have Lady Luck on their side.
Okay.
Because the Mormons are not allowed to gamble. It's against the law for them. All right? So Arizona, they have an offense that can give some secondaries trouble. They have an explosive running back. They have a lot of transfers, actually. Transfer quarterback from Washington State, Gunnar Cruz. Running back transfer from Northwestern, Drake Anderson. He's going to complement Michael Wiley, their explosive running back. Their defense, cornerback transfer from Notre Dame, safety transfer from Northwestern. They're revamped, ready to go. BYU is without their star quarterback. Their players are going to feel completely out of place in Vegas and uncomfortable. Casinos are bearing down on them. Their gods or whatever it is are just shunning them because they're in the city, Sin City. So I think they have bad karma going into this game, and I think Arizona pulls off the upset. Arizona plus 375, that's how we start the season.
Man, you're backing some sketchy teams, but your points are good, so...
Tell you what, I picked
see
them.
it. Yeah.
We're feeling good, man. We started last week 1-0 apiece,
Each?
2-0 as a
Yep.
pod. I think we keep rising after that. I'm going to recap mine, and then you're going to recap yours, all right?
I'm looking for another 3-0 week. Start the first 2 episodes with undefeated.
Yes.
I'll take that.
All right, so to recap, I got the over 68 in the Boise State UCF game. Duke minus 6.5 against Charlotte. The under 50 points in Penn State, Wisconsin, and then Arizona plus 375 against BYU for the Moneyline Moneymaker.
Perfect. To recap Big Country's picks, I got Kansas State minus 3 versus Stanford. I have Georgia Tech minus 18 versus Northern Illinois. And I have Cincinnati minus 22.5 hosting Miami of Ohio.
Beauty. Like we said, we're not going to give you 8 or 10 picks and then have a 500 record. We're trying to give you a couple picks, a couple locks, and show you that, hey, these are the ones you need to pick. We're going to get our records going. And
I'm not throwing picks out there just for content.
Exactly.
I'm throwing picks out there to win.
We want to show that we can give out winners. So
I don't want to get made fun of on Twitter.
All right. Well, you got the socials?
Yeah, follow us at CF Payoff Pod on Twitter. Find us at the College Football Payoff on YouTube. Search College Football Payoff on any podcast streaming site. Find Dan at Accountant Bets on Twitter. Find me at Big Country Bets on Twitter. Let's keep going. You'll see some other picks. We'll throw out some more stuff on Twitter. Stuff we didn't put on the pod, but I can say that these are my top picks I put on the pod.
Yeah.
So
These are my locks for you. So.
make sure to like, rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars, all that good stuff that could help us out. Share it with your friends because we'd like to grow and keep giving you guys winners.
Love it. You got anything else?
Here's to 3-0, 6-0 on the 7-0 on the pod.
7-0 on the pod. I like the sound of that.
Nice.
All right. I'm Dan. It's Big Country. We'll see you next time.